What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And I want to talk about the Alone in the Dark 2024 remake and what I really think about this game in general and where my general consensus that this game is really going to have me explain as much as I can here. So, point being, what I will say is that I recently finished this game this past weekend. And what I will say, this game is really good. Despite that, this game got some mixed reviews from professional reviewers and vice versa. But what I'm trying to get to is that I don't care because I really think when it comes to gaming, whether what games that you play on, no matter what platform you're on, whether if you're on Xboxes, PC, or PlayStations, but you understand where I'm going with this. So what I'm trying to get to is that I really think that reviewers can have it so wrong sometimes, and while there is difficult time to argue, maybe perhaps, is in fact that you might take a review to heart, but I think that most people take reviews to heart so seriously that they're always going to say, "Well, I'm not going to play this game now because of how bad this game is." Well, what I will say is that you're just basically your own. You're basing you're kind of projecting from someone else's opinion onto yourself and perceiving that it's like, well, I'm not gonna play this game because I have no desire to because I already had my mind changed up for me. And to be quite honest with you, that is not the proper way to do it. If you really want to play a game that really intrigues you or makes you want to play it, you know, whether whether it's a story-based game or a multiplayer only service game, that sort of thing. But that's what I'm saying. So, this remake, this game from its original version is it's really good, as I previously stated. So my apologies on the repetition. But here's the thing. What I thoroughly loved about this game is it's basically everything of the whole entire fulcrum of this game because I love the exploration. It knows what it's doing when it comes to the exploration, right? You're going to find things. You're going to find important things. You're going to find key items that you are able to progress a little bit more into that specific type mission or level in the game. And one thing I will say, the level design in this game or the mission design, it's fantastic. This game really brings me back to a game called Call of Cthulhu. I believe is like I don't know whether if it was a remake or a reboot, but I believe that was back in 2014, maybe a little bit later-ish. I don't know exactly, but point being, that game did a really good job with its progression system, and it has to do with its story and what you were able to do in terms of speech or investigation wise. And but Alone in the Dark remake doesn't really have that, but it kind of does in a way. And what I mean by that is that you're able to I think you're able to somewhat type of persuade if you can in a way. I don't know how that really works. It's very difficult to discern or really describe because it's nothing like they don't have this game does not have like a radio speech system. It's pretty simplistic. It's not too far fetched. And so what I'm saying is that this game does a fantastic job of meeting up different types of NPCs or characters in this game that are part of the story. And I think that's another thing that really, how I really interpreted. And it's interesting to know as to why I think that this might not be the best remake of all time. Opposite that, like the Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil 3 or Dead Space, which was fucking amazing. But point being, I still think that this game really holds true to its aesthetics when it comes to its story crafting and being able to go through certain areas of a mission and being able to progress in so many different types of aspects and concepts of how to utilize that to where it's going to go within that story of each part of the game. and it's so good. And that's one of the reasons why I actually thoroughly enjoyed this game a lot, is because this game is actually based on a Lovecraftian type of Cthulhu-esque type of lore or mythology in a sort of way. And that's what I really loved about this game. And that's what I really loved about The Sinking City. It's what I really loved about Call of Cthulhu. And that's where these games really do set the bar of interesting storytelling. I think that when it came to this remake, the storytelling really did a fantastic job. I really love the progression between Emily Hartwood and David Harbour as the detective in this game. And I will say, dude, like I said, it's fantastic. I really love the way how they were able to do some really cool character development designs. And that's where this game really shines to the utmost, other than its magnificent storytelling. Because, like I said, normally I do always like a good story, but sometimes it can be convoluted. Sometimes it wouldn't make sense. But this game was kind of like that though too, a little bit, because it was a little convoluted, but then close at the very end, it all came to make sense, right? And that's what I really like about a game that really knows what it's doing. I really love a game that knows what it's doing, and when in terms of everything. And what I will say is that the gameplay in this game, yes, you are able to shoot weapons like your pistol. You have a shotgun. You have a double barrel shotgun, dude. I mean, it's like, what's not to like about a game that's survival horror? This is what this game is, and I think that's where this game really excels at very well. And because the majority of the games that I'm so used to playing when it comes to survival horror, much like Dead Space or much like Resident Evil 4 remake, which I haven't played yet, but even like with Resident Evil 2 remake and Resident Evil 3, this game really does a good job of that survival horror to the fittest, because there's some combat involved. You are able to dodge, which is nice. You can dodge, and I'm really glad they were able to do that, because normally when you have survival horror games, you can't normally always have a dodge mechanic, and it's not all that great, but it's doable, but it works. And so I think that's what another thing that really makes this game, I wouldn't say stand out from the other remakes that we've had, but overall, this game just it did some things pretty well, and I was thoroughly impressed. Now, what I really want to discuss here is, in fact, that it's the design of this game. I love the design of this game when it comes to its lighting and shadow effects. While it's not really thoroughly the best, but it's pretty good. I'm really impressed too. I love the design of each part of the game and how it really foreshadows itself into, coming into the foreground and then into the background. It's pretty, and it brings out some really cool luster of colors and everything, and vice versa. But when you get up close, it doesn't look all that great though, because it's like, while this game still retains some of its core aesthetics from the original, but this is indeed the remake from its original game, but it still retains its story, for what I understand as well. And I believe I don't know what his name was, but he was one of the creators of Amnesia and Soma. He actually ended up coming into either co-created this game or directed this game, and it shows. And one in particularly is that I recently did a video on a level in this game as well, that this level in this game really harkens back to where Amnesia the Bunker did very well, in terms of, like sneaking past the beast in Amnesia the Bunker and being able not to get caught. That level did that perfectly, and that's what I really loved about that level specifically. And I'm going to be uploading it soon, but don't worry. But point being, this game does a lot of things I was really impressed with. And because like I said, it's the lighting. I love the effects of the creatures. I like the way how the creatures look. The creatures look menacingly and scary. And that's one thing that this game did really good job with, its mechanic of jump scares. The jump scares are actually really good in this game. While they are not as scary as I would say from like, maybe Resident Evil 4 remake or Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 or even Dead Space, but this game does have some good jump scares. I did jump a few times, but overall I still really thoroughly enjoyed this game for the most part. So now I want to talk about another thing here though too, is the gunplay. The gunplay in this game, it's not bad. It's definitely not the best, but it's not bad. It's okay. Let's just put it that way. And so I really think that when it comes to its gunplay mechanics in this game, the reloading system with your weapons is slow. But here's the thing, I'm going to explain this. The reason why is because the reason why the reloading system for the weapons in this game is so slow is because that's where the survival horror elements come into play. That's what I've noticed about this game. It's nothing compared to what, Dead Space Remake does, or Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3 Remake does, right? This game retains the survival horror element of that, reloading your weapons slowly because you're getting that anticipation. You're getting kind of claustrophobic, but not really. It's like you feel like that your chest is getting tight. You feel like that you're not going to be, you're at your disadvantage. And that's what makes this game really good though too. That's one thing I greatly noticed about that when it comes to reloading your weapons. And I think that's where that fear factor in this game really, really does a really good job with that. I love that idea that they were able to utilize something like that in a game like this. It's really good. I would definitely recommend this game to anyone if anyone hasn't played it yet. But point being, I really think that when it comes to this remake, it did it pretty well. Like I said, I am thoroughly impressed as to how this game was able to make itself really credible. And that's one thing I really, as I previously mentioned about reviews, I really think that the reviewers, they said it all wrong. I believe that people can be thoroughly critical of something when and then it's like, well, when you're interested in a game like this remake for Alone in the Dark, it's like you're kind of like you're putting yourself on the spot and realizing it's like, well, I'm not going to play it, as I previously mentioned, so I'm not going to go back to that. So I'm just trying to point that out there. So the Cthulhu-esque of this game is where this game really shines. I really like the design of some of the Call of Cthulhu-esque type of it, and like the Lovecraftian. It's the structure of the whole entire game and how it's utilized from its advantage of showing the lighting effects and shadow effects and showing off the creatures and how they look like. And that's one thing I think that this game really did well, is the creature design. The creature design in this game it's really good. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's very good, because I don't think, opposite that, I would say maybe the original Resident Evil 4. I would say I think that this game does it a little bit better than Resident Evil 4, maybe a little bit. But other than that, though, Resident Evil 4, of its creature effects and everything else, they were really good for its time. But I'm just saying, I'm not condoning Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 was a fantastic game, and I'm not saying it's bad either. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to bash that game at all. I'm just saying that I think that when it comes to Alone in the Dark remake, though, I do like its creature design. Its creature design is really good. I don't think I really should compare it to any other game, because I do believe when it comes to survival horror games, there are ways to make a good proper creature being scary, and how they're going to like go around and do their business and try to scare you and all that. And I love that type of mechanic. That's one thing I greatly admit, is that when it comes to survival horror games, these games know exactly what they're doing when it comes to its creature design and how it can affect your character and be scared about that creature. And I think that's what this game really does well, though, too, other than the Dead Space remake or Resident Evil 2 or Resident Evil 3. So all I can say is this. I do highly recommend playing this game. I think that this game was definitely a lot of fun. I do have my second intention of going with the second playthrough as the detective, David Harbour. And what I will say is that I think the character progression was very good in this game. While the while the characters might not look all that great, but they do look great to a certain degree, but not all that great really in a certain way. But point being, I just think that this game really does, in all fronts, a really good job. And, being able to do what you have to do when it comes to survival horror. That is one thing I really want to say is that I think when it comes to character progression in this game, though, too, this game does it really well. Like I said, it doesn't do it amazing, but it does it well. And, reverting, being able to meet up with David Harbour or Detective and every so different types of chapters, that's where the mystery totally comes on. That's where the mystery really unfolds. And that's where I think that when you finally reach towards the end of the game, you're like, oh shit, this game is actually fucking amazing. Because like I said, I think this game is absolutely amazing. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So another thing is I really think that when it comes to remakes, like I said, it's not up to par to what other remakes have been able to do, like RE2 or RE3 or Dead Space or any other remakes that might be possibly coming out on the horizon of gaming. But this game does a good job of bringing back some old school elements into a more of a 3D world and bringing it back to life. I think that's where this game really does it really good. And like I said, I am thoroughly impressed where this game is going from beginning to end. And what I will say towards the end of this video, the ending of this game was, oh my God. It was pretty epic, actually, I would have to say. And it was quite interesting as to where I'm kind of curious of what the second playthrough might bring. I'm kind of curious if it's going to be a little bit different than from what playing through with Emily Hartwood. But overall, I think I've heard that it's just the same thing, but different ways of opening up safes and locks and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyways, all I can say is this. Do I highly recommend playing this game? Absolutely. And so I think that you will have a lot of fun with this game. I really think that this game definitely does have a good replayability to it. So that's all I have to say about this game. But anyways, too much further ado, this is Jake from Citizen JV. Thank you for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. Any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section below. And I'll chat you guys later and have a good rest of your week.